During the earthquake, the damage is induced due to high amplitude ground excitation, and then what we want to see is whether, by comparing just after the earthquake, the mode shapes and before that, so we don't care about what's happening here, but we want to see if what is happening here has affected and has introduced some damages at the critical points in our building structure, usually at the ends of beams and columns. So we're looking at a reinforced concrete structure with particular cross-section. We see how we can monitor how the plastic rotations evolve at the ends of beams and columns, and this is a scenario when we have damage at the ground-based column, and this is the sensitive damage index that we have with 70% pure below Nyquist ratio. So we see that we have positive values at the ground floor, which means detection of this damage here in our frame structure. This is essentially a 10-story building frame, essentially, and then we can also discriminate in case we have, let's say, a damage at the ground column and another damage at the 8th floor of our structure. This is earthquake-induced damage. Okay, so we can see here that simply by interrogating our data and by assuming that we have sensors placed on each and every floor of our building, we can see quickly, rapidly, just after the earthquake, have an indication of what is the floor where damage has happened, so people can go and inspect and see what is the case there. Last example comes from, essentially, we have our own method, our spectrum sensitive blind sampling method and compressive sensing method, and we put them to test, and we want to see how well they do, especially when we start having lower and lower, what is the most, the higher compression we can get between compressive sensing and our own method using power sampling, power spectrum blind sampling. So we are using a straightforward CS-based method, our own method. Our test bed in this case is a particular bridge at Switzerland that we are monitoring. There's 18 sensors. This is the view plan of the bridge. That's the location of the sensors, and these are the kinds of signals we are getting, and that's the sparsity. So we do have strong sparsity in this case. This is what we're getting in terms of mode. So as compression ratio decreases, so as I'm looking at higher and higher compression, this 10 means 90% below Nyquist, 80, 70% below Nyquist. This is essentially the inner product of the mode shape that we get with compression, sub-Nyquist methods, and the one with Nyquist. And we see that our method gives practically a value of 1, which means almost similar mode shapes compared to the Nyquist, but compressive sensing gives good results, but they start at, let's say, up to 70 or even 80% below Nyquist, but when we go to 10% below Nyquist, we start diverging. And that's the case for all different mode shapes, the way that our bridge is vibrating. So, fourth mode shape, we see that how much worse compressive sensing is doing. What it means in terms of energy and of battery saving, going, let's say, from 20 to 10% compression ratio, so 80 to 90% below Nyquist. This is what we see in terms of battery life saving. So we go from what is less than 6 months of battery replacement in our wiring sensors up to 10 months, and that's a huge saving in terms of labor costs, because battery replacement means that somebody has to go there up to our bridge and replace the battery, which of course is not always actually a dangerous task in many cases. I know I'm over time, so I'm not going to say anything more. I would like to thank your attention for that. And if you have any questions about our work, I'm always available to discuss this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ankanto-Chris, the RRS from University of London, for nice presentation. And also now we come up to a keynote speaker number 3 now, which is Professor Dr. Isra Shaingamu from King Mongkut Institute of Technology, Lankabang, Thailand. Please enjoy the presentations.